Welcome to Modern Paleo Cooking. My name is Wendy Myers, and today we're going to be cooking Southern collard greens. I'm from Texas, so this is one of my favorite dishes, and it's a great way to get green vegetables in your diet, which is the #1 thing missing from most people's diet. So today, to make this dish, we're going to need about 2 pounds or 1 kilo, 2 bunches of collard greens cut into ribbons. The stem inside the collard green is really hard, so you gotta cut that out and then cut up what you have left. You have a big old bowl of collard greens. And then we are going to season it with 1 cup of chicken broth. Then we're gonna need to be cooking rough chop 1 onion, 1 medium-sized onion, any kind. Then of course we have 3 cloves of garlic. You can use 4 cloves if you like. I love fresh garlic. It's so much better than the dried garlic you have at the store. Usually you can only find this in the spring and summertime, not in the winter, at your local farmer's market. But if you have to use the garlic at the store, so be it. It's totally fine. But if you have the opportunity to use fresh garlic, I highly recommend it. And then, of course, we have our seasoning, which is salt and pepper. And then we're going to use some Louisiana hot sauce. You gotta spice up your collard greens. So this is optional of course, and in the South we serve this with the collard greens, so you can add more if you need it, if you like it hot. And then of course we're gonna cook everything in an olive oil. You want your olive oil to be unfiltered and raw, and unfiltered means it won't be clear. Clear olive oil has already been filtered. Unfiltered olive oil has double the nutrient value of filtered. So you also want it in a dark or opaque vessel like this, because light and heat destroy your olive oil. And then right at the very end, before you serve it, you're gonna add a shot of apple cider vinegar. Don't do the shot, put it in your dish, because this is gonna add a little tang, a little twang, as we say in Texas, to your collard greens. We're also going to be using pancetta. You definitely want to use pork to flavor your collard greens. So you can use salt pork. It's also called pancetta. I got this at Whole Foods from Applegate Natural Farms. You can also just use a ham hock, which you just throw in the pot, cook with the collard greens. That will give you a nice salty, porky flavor. Totally optional if you prefer not to use pork. So the first thing we have to do is cut up our pork. You can use as much as you want, but you want about 1 cup of diced pork. So I'm gonna dice this up first, and then we're gonna throw it in our pot and brown it. So just cut this up into 1/4 inch squares. And then we're going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. Just a dab. You can maybe spread that around a little bit so that the pan's coated. And then add our pork to it. And that's gonna take a few minutes to brown. So you want it crispy, a little bit crispy. And then we're going to set it aside, and then we're gonna cook our collard greens and add it to the dish later when the dish is done. Okay, so now we're done cooking our pancetta, or our salt pork. It's basically just bacon. So this is gonna add some flavor. You're gonna just crumble this over the top of your collard greens. And so now we need to cook our onions. You need about 1 roughly chopped onion. And we're gonna cook these for about 5 minutes until they're translucent. And then we're gonna add in our seasoning and our collard greens. So first you want to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan so your onions don't stick. Just a little dollop. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not rocket science. You don't have to measure everything out perfectly. And of course I don't have a spoon. Let me get my spoon. And then we're going to add our onions. And just stir them occasionally until, like I said, they're cooked down a little bit and they're clear. So our onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes. They're nice and clear. So we're gonna add our chopped garlic. So just add that in, and you just wanna cook the garlic for about 1 minute. And you don't ever wanna cook it longer than that, because then one, you destroy the healthy components in the garlic, and you'll have kind of a burnt garlic taste. So 1 minute is perfect. So just stir it around for about a minute. And then next we're gonna be adding our seasoning. You wanna add your pepper, your half a teaspoon, about, what is that? About 7 milliliters of pepper. And then we're gonna add about a good teaspoon of, a tablespoon of salt, which is about 15 milliliters. Just add that in there. And then a couple little dashes of Louisiana hot sauce, something like that. Of course, that's optional if you don't like heat, but I think some heat adds a nice touch to the dish. And so just stir that all up. And then we're going to add our collard greens. And first what we're doing is we're gonna wilt them down a little bit in the pan, and then we're gonna add all of our liquid so that it cooks down. So add all of these babies. You're very likely going to have to add a little bit more olive oil to the pan so that everything's not sticking. So you can be generous with the olive oil. Don't be shy. And then we're gonna, let the collard greens wilt down a little bit. It'll take a few minutes. Now we add our chicken broth. It's gonna add lots of flavor to our collard greens. So now that our collard greens are wilted down, you just pour this in. And we're gonna add our half a cup of water. And you can always add a little bit more liquid as well if you need to. And then we're just gonna cover this and let it cook for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then all the collard greens will be nice and dark green and wilted down and ready to eat. So now our greens have been cooking for 45 minutes. They're nice and wilted down. And so now we just need to add the finishing touches, which is the apple cider vinegar. You just want, add this at the end so that it doesn't flavor the dish too much. We just need 1 shot of that. It's about 1 ounce. And then we also want to add our pancetta, our cooked pork. Yum. So that'll give your guests some tasty little tidbits to eat while they're eating their collard greens. Of course, it's entirely optional. And then you just stir that in and you're ready to serve. Well, we have our finished dish. It's our southern collard greens. So tasty. Love my little pork and my little greens. And that's basically how you make southern collard greens. Thanks so much for watching Modern Paleo Cooking. I'm Wendy Myers.